Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to continue my look at Batman Hush 2. So this is issue 162, and so this is part 5 of the story. I haven't cracked this one open yet. I haven't read it. I don't really know any spoilers for this or anything. So I'm just kind of taking a first look at it here. I've been doing that with this story so far. And if you've been watching these and you think, oh, it's been a while since you've done one of these, it's because it's been a while since one of these came out. So this book is, getting behind. It's late. I think it pretty much all but confirms my theory that we got this new volume of Batman because Hush 2 was going to run behind. And they wanted to keep a monthly Batman book on the shelves. So as this came out, we are on issue 3 of the new volume of Batman. But I guess when you're the artist that's also in charge of DC, you can kind of do what you want. So I'm not sure how Jim Lee keeps his creators on deadline when he can't stick to his. But, that's not my place to say, I guess. If you want to see my videos looking at the previous issues of this storyline, you could check them out on my Batman playlist on the channel. So let's take a look at this issue here. So from the cliffhanger of the previous issue, we've got Batman sort of facing off against the Bat family here. Batgirl starts to defend him, and Batman kind of knocks her out here. So Batman is trying to avoid a confrontation here that Hush has orchestrated. Nightwing comes running to Batgirl's aid, and Batman throws gas at him. We get some more of the sort of watercolor style pages. Again, these don't look as detailed as they have in the previous issues or as they did in the original Hush storyline. But we have this sort of traumatic moment with Barbara Gordon here from The Killing Joke. And then we have Dick Grayson losing his parents here in the circus. This panel in particular really feels like Tim Sale to me. I don't know if this lines up with the artwork from Dark Victory, but this Batman pose here, this Bruce Wayne pose here, looks a lot like Tim Sale's Long Halloween Dark Victory. I wouldn't be surprised if Lee modeled this panel off of that, but I'd have to check and see. Then here on the last panel, we've got Batman shooting his grappling gun. Looks like he's going to take off. And, he's saying here that he hopes Barbara and Dick forgive him someday. So then we have Batman taking off to this church here, saying he has to get to higher ground because the gas will slow them down, but it won't stop them. He realizes that Hush has to be around, and so he uses, his sort of, night vision, telescopic vision here, maybe in his cowl, and he sees Hush on the rooftop here. Again, kind of going back to the original Hush story where Hush was kind of watching him from the rooftops, and Batman, likens this to chess, but also said that was never Tommy's game. And then here we've got big splash page with the title, so this is Chapter 5, The King, and we have Catwoman attacking Batman here, going through a stained glass window. Again, a nice kind of dynamic page, but I feel like if this was Jim Lee back when he was doing the original Hush, there'd be a lot more impact to that. I feel like it maybe would be coming directly towards the reader, that kind of thing. Again, overall, I feel like his art is still good, but I think he's gotten rusty from not doing, regular monthly books anymore. I mean, he pretty much just does covers and maybe pinups and stuff and commissions, I guess, but yeah, there's definitely some ring rust on Jim Lee in this run here. And again, this is part 5, so I feel like he really should be back in the swing of things at this point. Again, I think I've said this on every part, but I do miss the almost Marvel-style intro that the original Hush had on each chapter, giving you sort of quick background on Batman. Again, I know that. Everything. I've been reading these comics for over 35 years, but it's always nice to have that for new readers. Every book is, in theory, someone's first comic they could have picked up. I always liked seeing that. And so then we have their fight continuing on in the church here. Batman is remembering back to the original Hush story where he and Catwoman revealed their secret identities to each other. He says that's when he learned he could trust her. Catwoman is saying here she doesn't want to fight because she'd kick his ass. And that she just wants to talk here. And so here we've got Catwoman. Looks like she's just trying to get through to Batman to kind of de-escalate the situation here. And then we see Well, it's not a batarang. I guess it's a birdarang, because it ties up Batman and pulls him out, and Catwoman says Robin, so it looks like Damian here is trying to grab Batman. So now we've got this nice big splash page here of Robin dragging Batman through the streets on his motorcycle, and he's kind of banging off traffic and trash cans and things like that, so looks like he's trying to incapacitate Batman here. Okay, so now we have Riddler kind of joining the fight here, and I didn't think I had anything spoiled for me, but I guess I did have this spoiled for me online. So we have Riddler here in his new outfit, and he says to Batman, question, what time is it to expect the unexpected? Answer, Nigma time. Yeah, I don't know what kind of 90s catchphrase crap that is, but oh boy, that's rough. That's almost up there with Morbin time. So Riddler kind of cuts Robin's line here. Robin tells him to butt out, but Riddler starts laying into Batman here, and Batman asks why he's here. Batman notices that Riddler's stronger than he should be, and he seems to have like an exoskeleton in his suit here, but Batman's able to incapacitate him when he shocks him here. Again, this is kind of interesting. It's like, what is going on with Riddler? You know, is Hush involved with this, or is this Riddler just sort of upping his game? Again, you know, we had a bigger mystery in the original Hush story, and I feel like we don't really have that here. Because, yeah, it was sort of like, who's Hush? Who's manipulating all these villains in the original story? And, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this story isn't as compelling as the original one probably was. And, again, there's a criticism of the first story, too, where there's just too many cameos and too many characters coming in and out of the story. I feel like I would like a little bit more of that here, actually, just because, you know, we had some new supervillains introduced, which we haven't seen yet in this issue. And so we don't really know what their deal is with all that. Or that's just Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee trying to throw in some new characters. So, yeah. So here we've got Hush on the rooftop here, and it looks like he's about to shoot at Nightwing and Batgirl, and we're back to him whispering too when he talks, which was something from the original Hush story that I feel like we've kind of lost over the years with the character. So I feel like this really does play as like a direct sequel to the first Hush storyline, where maybe Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee are kind of throwing out some of the other baggage that's accumulated with the character over the years. But then we have Huntress stepping in here to save him. So we have these little, I want to call them flechettes, but it feels like more like scalpels that he's shooting at them here. So, you know, with him being a surgeon, I assume that's kind of what they're going for there. But again, you know, little metal blades shooting at him. Then we have Nightwing throwing his sticks and Batman throwing some batarangs, and they both hit Hush at the same time here. Some ads. So then we have the Batmobile showing up out of nowhere, and Jason gets out and starts shooting everybody. Huntress chases after him, and he just kind of knocks her down. Again, I wonder if this was supposed to set up the Red Hood series that got canceled. It was basically going to be a Red Hood and Huntress book. But yeah, it looks like Jason's just kind of here as a distraction, so they can't chase after Hush at this point. So here Huntress has Red Hood on the ropes. He asks her to save him so he won't die again, and he just kind of turns it on to her. But he says that she's impressive here. We have Nightwing confronting Batman, saying that he's not going to let him leave. Batman sort of unlatches the door to the Batmobile and throws at Nightwing as he takes off. Huh. Okay, now we have the Batmobile exploding as Batman got into it. And Barbara's saying he wasn't escaping, he was saving us. Now we have the Batmobile, looks like it's fallen through the street here to a lower level. And Batman says he's not alone down here. We see Bane here in the darkness and some other monster-looking guys. Okay, and so now we've got this big shot of the Joker here. So I'm not sure where Bane went or if there's got to be a bunch of villains down here. But it looks like Joker's got the drop on Batman here. And that's the end of the issue here. We've got this nice guide here with some of the other variant covers that are out, because again, they're doing a ton of them. So if you want to keep a checklist, here you go. And then here's some of the other Batman titles that are available. And what we got a preview of DC Night Fight. Again, I'm not really caring about the DC KO stuff. And looks like we've got a Harley and Ivy preview here for their new miniseries. So yeah, definitely if you like Batman, they're giving you some more Batman stuff to check out. We've got an ad for Batman Deadpool, which is about to come out as I'm recording this. Yeah, so that's part 5 of Hush 2. So there's one more part. You know, this is going to be a 6-part storyline. And I know originally they said they were going to do Hush 2 and Hush 3. So I'm really hoping that we're not just getting a cliffhanger at the end of part 6. I'm afraid that's where they're going with this, because I feel like, I don't know if this is all going to get wrapped up in another issue. I think it's an oversized issue, but don't quote me on that. I want to say part 6 is a bigger issue. I can't remember now, though. I'd have to go back and check the solicitation. And again, I ordered this a while ago, so I can't remember exactly how it was worded. But I wouldn't be surprised if it were a bigger issue. I really hope it is, just so hopefully this story gets wrapped up. I don't know where the story is going. I don't really know how I feel about this. This story feels more disjointed, maybe, than the original, and I feel like we're not covering nearly as much ground. Again, we had this whole issue that's basically just a fight between Batman and his partners. I don't know. Overall, I'm feeling underwhelmed with the story so far. Maybe that changes with the last issue. We'll see. I just really don't want a to be continued in Hush Part 3 at the end of this. So we'll see how that goes. Again, hopefully it's not too much longer before the last issue comes out. We've had a bit of a wait on this one. So yeah, you know, and there's a lot of other Batman stories going on. You know, continuity is moving on without this story. So we'll see how that goes. And again, you know, this is continuing the numbering of the previous series, you know, the previous volume of Batman. So once this story wraps up, that's the end of that volume. And then, you know, we're continuing on into the Matt Fraction series, which is going on right now. But yeah, have you been reading Hush 2? What are your thoughts? How do you think it compares to the original? Again, if you want to watch my previous videos looking at these issues, it's on my Batman playlist on the channel. I might make a separate playlist just for this. We'll see, maybe when it wraps up. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think of this. Are you still excited for this story? I was kind of hyped up when I heard they announced it, because I was like, why did they never do a sequel to this? You know, especially with Jim Lee being in charge now of DC. You know, you figure him and Jeff Loeb would, you know, want to take another crack at Batman. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out in the end. So yeah, come back. I will do another video when this last issue comes out and the story wraps up. So be sure to come back and check that out. And thanks for watching. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter/X @Detective651. Also on Instagram @Detective651. Be sure to check out my t-shirt store at tpublic.com/user/Detective651. I've got a lot of nerdy designs on there, and there's sales all the time, so check it out frequently.